comparing that to when the charge was changed from culpable homicide to murder, that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That particular one generated about 72,000 views. So within a matter of days, the hearing from Wednesday generated about 50,000, which is a lot of numbers. And if you compare it to the president's speech yesterday at the June 16th anniversary, that one has only 960 something views. So this always gets the people's attention. And if you look at the influential people, if we can go back to that graphic.
We'll bring it up. But you know what's fascinating to me, and I guess this is a lesson for us as a society, for media, that people are interested in a dramatic criminal case much more than a political commemoration, and whether that's right or wrong, that is the fact.
And keeping in mind, Oscar is a global star, so obviously it won't only be South Africans who are interested in what is happening on that trial, but people from around the world. But we have a tweet here from Peter Ndoro, who is one of our newsreaders at the SABC. He said, Oscar Pistorius is lucky he can fall asleep after a difficult day. I'm not sure Barry and June Steenkamp are able to. One of the topics that people were talking about was Barry Steenkamp's testimony and how he had asked that the media shows the picture of River after she had been shot. And that also had people talking, And also, Gerinel commented on that towards the end of the sentencing, on the sentence hearing.
And did that get a lot of attention? I didn't see his comments.
That got a lot of attention. Another thing that got a lot of attention was when Oscar was asked to show us his stamps and just to show his vulnerability. And people were talking on those main 3 points.
And were you just looking at the force of interaction, or could you gauge how that was received, that decision to ask him to come up and be vulnerable in front of the court?
On this particular one, we're really interested on the numbers, comparing it from other sources that we have or other videos that we have on our YouTube channel. But we had noticed that this one really drew a lot of attention.
Okay, then something happened last weekend internationally, the Orlando shooting. So what are you seeing trends-wise?
Well, what came up from that story was that there's a guy who claims to be from Benoni from his Facebook page. His name is Peter Gonzalez Cruz. According to his Facebook page, he also has an alias of Peter Omi, who is said to be one of the victims of that shooting. And South Africans have also taken up to this issue. As we know, yesterday there was a memorial held in Centurion, and there's one planned in Cape Town today. So it really hit the people hard.
And that's a local response to an international event. So you do see how connected we are to the world through social media.
And this particular story was a bit slow to pick up, because I remember on Saturday, that's when the news broke. I was actually working. But the initial reports were that 50 people have been shot, but there was no report about anyone being dead. And then as the story developed, that's when social media also picked up and started commenting on it.
And do you remember that dramatic press conference where it went from 23 victims to 50? So more than doubled, and I guess the world then started to watch more and more and more. Has that tapered off, or is there still talk?
No, there isn't much talk, but we might notice that maybe this afternoon, with what is happening in Cape Town, with the march happening in Cape Town to raise awareness of the gay community, maybe people might start talking about it.
All right. Then June the 16th.
June the 16th, 40th commemoration, people talking about it. There was one tweet that really generated the talking around this one. If we looked at Mmusi Maimani's speech, the DA leader, he mentioned something about Bantu education being better, or hinted towards Bantu education being better than the current education system. And people always wanted to comment on that one. We had a tweet from a person, Redi Direko, who's a media personality, also took up on that one and said, no, Mmusi was not saying that Bantu education was better than the current education system, but he was saying that there are a lot of wrongs with our current education system too. And then this is what Musi had to say: the true legacy of Jacob Zuma's ANC will be their failure to provide this generation with an education they can use. I'm sure our president is out there right now speaking about what 1976 means and how you must now forget, but he's forgotten a long time. The education his government provides to millions of black children is not better than the Bantu education of 40 years ago. In fact, many believe it is worse. So that's what got the people talking.
A strong statement.
Quite controversial too.
But, some of the stats lean to this as well. So overall, how much, let's separate it up, because there are going to be a lot of political debates ahead of the local government elections.
Yes.
Given what you are seeing, is there political interest? Will we see a lot of support for these elections? Because it's young people on social media.
Yes.
It's young people that we want to come out and vote. But let's separate that from the commemoration of June the 16th.
Well, the commentary from people on social media, particularly on Twitter, was very negative towards Musi. And this also went along with the screening of Sarafina last night, and they made comparisons between Musi and a character in Sarafina. They were really not happy with what Musi had to say. So maybe this might, but time will tell.
So he got nailed, basically. Yeah. And June the 16th itself, interest-wise?
People were talking about it. There's that famous picture that is always shown. People were talking around that, and there are issues that the president also talked about in his speech: the issue of blessers or sugar daddies, and the issue of violent protests. So those were issues that came up, and people were really engaging with on this.
Okay, so those are actual current issues,
yes.
However. All right, fascinating. As always, thank you very much, Dini. Talking points on social media for the week. Well, 3 days after